So we welcome to the bunker here today the sports doctor out of Winnipeg, Guy Fieri lookalike Dave Pedersen, and the Duke Derek Myers. It never gets old. Never gets old, does it?
I ate at your restaurant in Vegas, by the way, last time I was there.
We're actually here as your protection. You know, you've been called out as a racist and the protesting going outside and all throughout the city of Regina today. So we do need a little heaviness.
We do have security. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I just get over the hate in Winnipeg, and now they're all mad at me in Hamilton. But I can handle it. So the Grey Cup parade's canceled, Dave, for the Bombers? Postponed. Oh, you're going to be a week later.
Well, I got to talk to you about, first of all, you talked about the Montreal Expos.
Yes.
Washington. So is the Calgary Flames the Atlanta Flames? So the Heritage Classic, is that going to be the Battle of Atlanta, with the Winnipeg Jets being the former Atlanta Thrashers? Where do you stop this nonsense?
Battle of Atlanta.
There's no lineage to Montreal anymore, other than that's where the franchise started. There's no scouts. There's no presidents. There's no fans.
That's a good point.
Some of the fans stuck around. Ian Hamilton being a devout Expos guy.
One.
Yeah. Okay, I should say fans. It should be fan with no S, no plural.
On YouTube the other day, they had the mascot. There was a little documentary. It was actually done
Youppi.
On Youppi.
I saw that.
And it was funny when he got kicked out of the Dodgers game. Like, was that going towards the playoffs, or was that a playoff game? I'm not sure.
It's a long time ago.
But it was kind of funny. The only mascot to ever get tossed out of the game for jumping on was Tommy Lasorda's dugout.
Well, and then our Gainer, he's been neutered. But that's another story.
Was Youppi the grandfather to Gritty from the Flyers? Because
pretty much looks like
that was from a road trip to Philly.
Okay.
Moving on. Stop changing the subject.
Parade canceled.
What's the mood in Winnipeg?
Not good.
I sense that.
Yeah, not good. You lay a big egg against Montreal. You let the team come back from a comfortable lead, and you do not perform in the second half, and then you come out absolutely flat. Hamilton is a great football team. Not going to disrespect them at all. They had a good game plan. The quarterbacking is phenomenal, but you have an opportunity to come out after the second half once you figure it out, and then do nothing. Just absolutely nothing. So in terms of being deserving to be there, I don't think you're deserving to be there. Notwithstanding a couple of tremendous victories, one in the Banjo Bowl, and you think everything's going great. You have the week off. You go into Montreal, lay an egg, and then you lay an egg at home. That's not good. That's not playoff football. That's not a playoff contending team.
Is this a case of with having Strevler in there, and I know he's just one guy, but teams are now seeing tape on him in full game situations as opposed to just bit plays, and they're starting to work their defense, especially the Hamilton game. They're starting to work their defense to defend this guy because he does bring a very unique skill set to the table. He is different to defend than Matt Nichols. Is this the case that now teams are seeing some film on a guy and going, this is how we're going to game plan for him? And is that contributing to maybe a little bit of spinning of the wheels here?
Well, I think you're right on. I mean, the skill set that Chris Trevor brings is a great running game. And you thought when Andrew Harris returned, you'd have a 1-2 punch.
Right.
And that was not the case, especially in the Hamilton game. I don't know what it is. I mean, I looked a few times, and I'm not what you would call a coach. I've never coached football, but there are a lot of times, and you know where I sit because I send you the pictures. There are a lot of times that I saw Kenny Lawler and Darvin Adams open right in front of me, and he just can't get the football to him. I don't know if it's the protection is not there for him,
or he can't see it,
or he just can't see it. He's going with the called play, and he's not looking for secondary or third guys or something like that. But I thought one particular play in the third quarter really stuck out because I looked at. I don't even think there was anybody near Kenny Lawler or Darvin Adams in this particular play, and I just sat there with my mouth open going, okay, there's something really wrong. I think Hamilton really locked on to that, and they knew how to pressure him, and they didn't even worry about our wide receivers.
Is it not odd? I was watching or reading some coverage in the last 12 hours out of Winnipeg that they are steadfastly sticking on the fact that they're not going to acquire a veteran quarterback, and it's just because they're happy with what they have. For the reasons you just pointed out, I don't know why they are.
But really, you have to also think who's available.
Yeah, exactly.
There's really nobody available. They Kevin Glenn apparently allegedly turned them down, just like he did the Rough Riders
in camp.
Yeah, in camp. But I mean, so you're going to come up to Winnipeg in October and November when it's snowing and cold. Travis
in Detroit.
Lulay. Isn't he happy with an administrative job with the BC Lions right now? Like, really, there is nobody.
No.
There is not a soul. Everybody's already playing. And
no Darian Durant in Winnipeg? No, they're not.
But, someone said, I don't remember who there was a quote. I was reading the paper today online, and I do not remember. Oh, it was the Winnipeg Blue Bombers general manager, Kyle Walters. They asked him about the injuries to the quarterback, and he said, "I think it's a good thing. I think he should have worded that a little bit differently." But what he said, what he meant in this rest of the quote was, "It's great for the developing quarterbacks to come up and get a chance." But his first quote was, "What do you think of all the injuries?" Well, I think it's a good thing. That was the wrong thing to say. But what his point is taken. Look at Fajardo. If Claris wouldn't have got out. But I noticed that when you talked about 3 plays in, you forgot to mention again your buddy
Simone Lawrence,
the Thug.
Oh, I didn't forget it. Trust me, I was all over it yesterday.
Thug. And you said the first time you heard Thugs. First time I heard Thugs was on the show Batman, because the Joker and his thugs. It's like there's no racism in this one. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Don't go there.
But anyway, back to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I don't know. You have Buck Pierce as the quarterback coach, and he works very, very well with Paul LaPolice. But there's just something wrong right now. There's something wrong in terms of getting the ball. And everybody, the most popular player in Winnipeg is always the backup quarterback. So on Facebook today, it was like, well, when's McGuire going to get in? When's McGuire going to get in? Let's try it one more time. We have a big test on Saturday right here in Regina. I can't see it being another blowout like the Hamilton game was, because those guys came to play. We've split that series with Saskatchewan. This is a very important game. This is a playoff-like game on Saturday.
This pretty much determines a home playoff game,
Absolutely. I think. Yeah. So, if you can't rise to the occasion, you can't game plan for this, you can't pull off a victory, you really don't deserve to be anywhere near the.
So this is a playoff game then.
This is a playoff game in my mind.
Yeah,
I think this is a home gate game, because not only do you win and you get that game ahead, but you win the season series. Mm-hmm. So essentially, in all due respect, you're 2 games ahead. I don't see Edmonton, BC definitely, but I don't see Edmonton getting up into second or first. So the winner of this game on Saturday is jockeying with Calgary between first and second. But I really see it as a leg up for the team that wins to get that home playoff date. Whether that be first or second, that to be determined. But I just see that the gap gets wide between Winnipeg and Saskatchewan because of season series. Because you're ahead basically a game and a half at that point, and that's big. As we know, these two, especially these two fields, when you talk about IG. Or you talk about Mosaic, what a huge advantage in the playoffs to host that game, because these places both are extremely noisy. They're extremely difficult to come into and play.
Key.
So it isn't just your regular first week of October game. No. There is a ton on the line in this game for both teams.
Pausing for a moment to just take care of some business. On the Prairie Mobile text line, Drew and Rollo writes in and he says, "Don't forget to wish George Reed a happy 80th birthday today."
100%.
So happy birthday to the G unit, number 34. When the commissioner sends out a tweet wishing you a birthday, you're a big deal, which we all knew George was a big deal. But happy birthday, 34. Hope you're enjoying the show. Also, Sean writing in from Saskatoon, happy birthday to the GOAT. George Reed, right. Greatest of all time. They're having some fun with the Guy Fieri, or is it Guy Fieri? It's Guy Fieri, right? Look-alike here, the sports doctor. They want to know where your Bomber jersey is and if you've spilled barbecue sauce on it and it's in the laundry. You saw that?
Yeah. Thanks, Craig Monroe.
That's Craig in Regina. Where's the Bomber jersey? I want to know, too.
This is an impromptu visit. I didn't have time. I have my Vikings gear in there because
I'd have taken it.
Oh boy!
Because obviously it's rep your team day today.
You're on some hard.
I didn't get the memo.
Hard times right now with your quarterback situation with your teams.
Vikings, don't even get me started on that one.
We just got you started. Talk Vikings for a second.
Absolutely, the worst signing in the history of professional football has to be Kirk Cousins. Like, if you think about all the trades the Minnesota Vikings have made in the past, like Herschel Walker and maybe giving away the future for that, and trade, and then this Kirk Cousins signing, like nobody could believe it at the time. I was on the fence because the when the Vikings signed Kirk Cousins, they also hired to be their new offensive coordinator, the former quarterback coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia and Washington have a big rivalry. They play each other a lot. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I thought maybe he saw something in Kirk Cousins that he thinks is coachable and will be a success. Not for the money they signed him on.
No.
And then to watch on Sunday Night Football, Teddy Bridgewater beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. He didn't dice up the Cowboys, but he beat them.
Beat the Dallas Cowboys. Teddy
So you're saying he could still have been in many?
Could have still been there.
Yeah.
He gave up on him a little too soon.
We all have a lot of friends who are Vikings fans, and I tell you, there is nothing more entertaining than going to Twitter during a Vikings game and listening to the sports doctor, Arash Madani, Peter Lubardius, all these good, solid Viking fans, and just downtrodden, just downtrodden, and just ripping the poor guy.
The Green Bay game was winnable. That was a very winnable game a couple of weeks back. And the Chicago Bears, again, not taking anything away from the Chicago Bears, they're a tremendous football team with a tremendous defense. But you got to get a first down.
They're a tremendous defense. I don't know about football team.
But they come in with the then again second string quarterback and carve up the Minnesota Vikings again. And I say we because that's my team. But the Minnesota Vikings just couldn't do anything. And then that starts with your quarterback position. Like you got to get a couple of first downs. And even Adam Thielen calls. Too. And
Zimmer.
Yeah,
the head coach too.
But Thielen too. Good. But then they said there was some sort of little powwow and they spoke together on this one. But you have to be frustrated. You watch this as a fan. You watch this, from Chicago, and you're like, okay, there's a chance. Anything can happen in any given Sunday. And guess what? Not anymore.
Now moving on. Rosemary writes in this morning. She says, finally, I have a chance to watch your show, Rod Pedersen, and 2 green hearts.
How'd she do that?
So let's talk about
where do you get green hearts?
Green. Check your emojis. I use them all the time.
Green hearts?
I use green hearts, blue hearts, red hearts, orange hearts. Yeah.
Full
It depends if it's Oilers or Blades.
Full of love.
But because you're a racist, not the black heart.
That's right. No, I haven't done a lot of black hearts because I don't have a black heart.
No, it's racist.
So... You hear these guys laughing? Shut up back there! The operations room over here. To the riders, because Wayne in Victoria wrote in earlier and asked what we think, and you can jump in if you want, Sports Doc, but for you, Duke, what the Riders are doing with Jordan Williams-Lambert. It's interesting. So they're inserting him for this Saturday's game against Winnipeg. They're taking out Manny Arsenault despite his 55-yard touchdown. It looked pretty good against the Argos the other day. The way Dickinson explained it is they had a plan. It sounds to me very much like they're doing this to be fair to everybody. And that's good. He said Manny Arsenault took it... what did he say? He's a vet. He's a
pro.
He's a pro. Yeah, he took it like a pro, so he's going to sit down, even though there's no reason really for him to sit down. They're inserting Jordan Williams-Lambert. Does it make them a better team? Probably. And I guess that's why they're doing it.
I like the move. One, you've got depth, and keeping a guy on the practice roster isn't keeping him fresh. A guy that I think, can all agree is more than CFL capable. I mean, he was the West Rookie of the Year last year. So you got to get him in. You didn't bring him back here to work out on the practice roster. You have a professional in Manny Arsenault who was just happy to be, playing this year at the start of the year, that somebody picked him up. Yes, he's had an okay season. He had a really nice game last game, but that shouldn't trump everything. So I do like getting Williams-Lambert in there for that reason. The other reason I really like this move is you announce it early in the week, and now you give Richie Hall and the Bombers defense something else to think about, something that they've got to go back a year to look at of the film. You've got another guy in there. I mean, it's not just a regular week of preparation for that defense on the Winnipeg side, and you're not trying to keep it a secret so they would have just went about their business as normal. Now there's a new wrinkle in there, something else they have to think about on the Bombers side of things. So now you're playing the little cat and mouse game that I really like as well, because again, we just talked about this, how important this game is. Give them something else to think about. You need every edge you can in a game like this, because I don't know what the point spread is, but I'm pretty sure we feel like this is a coin toss game right now. Give them something else to think about on that defensive side of the ball, which is the strength of the Bombers' defense, or of their team. Make them think a little bit, and I think that's what this will do. Saying early on in the week, nope, we're putting in this guy. Get ready for him. Go ahead and game plan for him.
I do like that.
I like that
Not
move.
the trickery.
No,
Not, we're going to go down to a game time decision.
Because if you waited till a game time decision, I think Hall and his defense would have just went ahead and planned like they have for the first 13 weeks or 14 weeks of the season. This is what we got. This is what we got to look at. But now it's like now you got this guy out there. Now you got a game plan for him.
Is it sit him down or not dress him? Is he
not dress him, not putting him in the lineup.
That's Arsenault to suck it up and say that's okay. That's a pretty big move, though, too. Because
for sure.
Like nobody wants to watch this game from the press box or the stand. Oh, they don't do that in football. They put a sweatshirt on and
stand on the sidelines. Yes.
But he also knows he's one injury.
Yep.
And a big part. And for a veteran guy, taking a game off.
Well, yeah, it's
not the worst thing.
Anthony Bosch said that
fresh
leave him
legs.
off the roster, rest him up for the playoffs. So,
it's funny too. By the way, today the CFL named their players of the month for September, and I didn't remember. Well, Dane Evans was one. Charleston Hughes was another. And I thought, what does that say for Charleston, who missed a game because of load management in September and was still named one of the players of the month in the CFL? So I got to give kudos to Charleston this morning, and also a thank you because he had some very nice words for me personally on Twitter yesterday. So kudos, Charleston, for being named CFL Player of the Week. But back to the Bombers for a second, and it's funny when you say home field in a playoff game between these two teams, Winnipeg and Saskatchewan, so huge, which I would agree with. But Winnipeg came in here last year and won. It could have probably been louder. It was a cold day. And yes, Brandon Bridge was a quarterback for the Rough Riders, and he's currently out of football. Yeah. But I just want to talk about the heat that's on the Bombers, Richie Hall, the defensive coordinator. I saw Bob Irving. Bob has taken to more than ever defending his team on Twitter. You've noticed. You're a Twitter guy.
Yep.
And the latest defense is of Richie Hall. And for those that don't know, Bob said, well, this guy won 2 Grey Cups in Saskatchewan with his defense, 07 and 2013, which I've been arguing for years against the Bomber fans. But you're a football guy. Where do you stand on the defense they're employing? And what's the Bomber faithful saying about it?
We talked about this, I think, when I was on the show with Chris Walby, and they talked about the bend, don't break defense. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, in my opinion, sitting there in the stands, watching on television, they give up way too much yards to the pass. There is just something wrong. Yeah, they can stop the run. Absolutely, they figured that out. But they're just giving up too many yards, too many first downs. You watched, how many yards did Evans throw for in the first half on Friday night? Like 350?
I don't know. I was at the Pats game.
See, love, your loyalty to the Winnipeg football team is just acknowledged.
Right. I've on record as saying I want them to win the Grey Cup this year.
So then how can you call out your buddy so much from the Hamilton Ticats?
Who's Simone Lawrence?
Watch the game.
That's a different thing. Continue.
Watch the game. Anyway, I think it's time for change. That's my opinion. I think something's not working. I don't know what it is. You watched the second half of the Montreal game. You watched the entire Hamilton game. There's something wrong. And if changes aren't made, and if the Winnipeg Blue Bombers don't advance at least to the Grey Cup, they have to have some full-scale changes. And it starts at our head coach, too. I mean, I sat in something called Chalk Talk 3-4 days before the game in Montreal. And, Mike O'Shea's charming. Mike O'Shea's
very
knowledgeable.
Impressive individual.
And I tell you what, he knows football. And but there's something wrong. He showed these plays that he swore everyone to secrecy, and how he could stop a couple of situations. And I saw nothing like that in the Montreal game. And I know everything's different. And you're basically, Winnipeg had the week off, and they're looking at old tapes from Montreal, and Montreal could be looking at those same tapes, finding the mistakes, and making changes. But you got no confidence in that when you gave up that late touchdown in the second half of Montreal, and then Montreal came back to win, and that's on the coaches. Like, you do not take your foot off the gas. You keep your guys motivated. You keep calling. You have 31 at halftime. You want 62. You want to run up that score as much as you can. Maybe not in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. Then you can take the foot off the gas if you're ahead by 30. But don't do that. And then we got nothing. They had nothing going on Friday night against the Hamilton Ticats.
That's the thing. The Bombers are learning.
They are still tied for first, though, are they not?
No.
3-way.
Oh, wow.
Same records. But
whatever. They got as many wins.
More loss.
Well, they got as many wins as anybody right now.
The Bombers need to realize about putting a foot on somebody's throat and leaving it there for 60 minutes. Not taking your foot off with 5 minutes.
Sure.
No, not even in a Grey Cup game.
Falling.
And by the way, on the Simone Lawrence thing,
you don't have confidence. Though sky's not falling.
They believe it is falling. But we need a break, right, Clark? And More or less, he says, yes. That's how we work it here. Loosey-goosey. But on the Simone Lawrence thing, I wasn't even upset at him for anything to do in that Winnipeg game. He had 17 tackles, for goodness sake. It was the week before when he went after Logan Kilgore's head, and in week 1, Zach Calero. So what set me off yesterday was that he's player of the week.
Yep.
And he should be suspended for the rest of the year based on his actions. That's all that I was saying on that. We'll continue this and more. By the way, join the party. Perry Mobile text line 306-840-8777. And also the Facebook wall. Checking your watch, David. Where you got to go? You got a flight?
No, I'm getting texts and stuff, though. People are watching.
Of course they are. Hello, Winnipeg. Oh, is he leaving now?
I'm out.
Hey.
I read that. Dave's out.
David, say bye. Clark, say bye. What else?
What did you get a teleprompter?
I'm the robot. I've had it here all along. Trust me.
Professional.
Yeah,
I thought this was off the top of your head.
Shh.
Clark, I don't
Thanks,
want to say
David.
goodbye.
Thanks, Guy.
Thanks.
See you in Vegas.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.